been waiting for you.
Hello?
Hello, Judge. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. What is going on? I know all of you guys out there, like Eddie and Mr. Nope, are like, what is this? Is not even usual. Usually there's just a Miss Jen. But today I have somebody that's way smarter than me, my general manager, Shanice. You've seen her before long ago for Minute to Skim It? How long ago do you think that was?
2 years now.
2 years ago. Yeah, back when it was Jenna, Liam, Shanice. Is there anyone else doing it then?
Bean.
And Bean. That was awesome. I missed when you guys did Space Cadets. So anyway, we love comic books very much. You guys are here because you know that we're going to read them for you and give you a non-spoiler review, right? That's the cool thing. And if you guys would just do some likes and sharings and all that kind of stuff to get more people over here to look at new books, we'd love that. It'd be really cool. I hope everybody's having a good spring break. If spring break is near you, you can hear kids in the store. What would blow Shanice's mind? Nothing. She's prepared for anything. Oh, by the way, if you want to get to know a little bit more about Shanice, she loves wrestling and she will talk to you about wrestling as much as you like. So get your wrestling questions and poke them up in the comments, please. All right, we're getting ready to review. Oh, Shanice, let's go first.
Okay, so starting off with Nick Fury and Big Bang Boom. So this was a series that I've been kind of keeping my eye on, just these like crossovers. I believe the first one was Rocket Raccoon and Doctor Doom. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of thought, oh, it's a random crossover. Do you know who Billy Kidman is?
Do you know who Billy Kidman is? Are you best friends with Billy Kidman?
Oh gosh, I wish. No, but sorry, but with this book, I just thought it was just really. It was something that I really wasn't expecting. It's basically like kind of like a retelling of certain origin stories.
Oh.
And in the book, we'll actually have like a reference to like 2 other, comic books like Sergeant Fearing and Howling Commandos. And I really liked it a lot. It's a really good.
We'll do the rest of it. Yeah. We're saving wrestling questions till after the reviews. Yeah. I promise we'll get to that. Just keep throwing them up there. We'll look at them.
Yeah, it's really good. Like a sci-fi fantasy comic. Interesting to see Nick, face off against Big Bang Boom, who's a character who I really didn't have like too much experience reading, except for his appearance in the Next Wave. But yeah, I really liked it a lot. Did you read the other ones?
I did. I read all of the other ones, and they're single shots. So usually, like in the past, single shots have been kind of like, oh, just skip it. Who wants to read this thing? But on all of the ones that I've read, including last week was Captain America and Volstagg a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I didn't realize that I love Volstagg so much. So yeah, they're really great reads. It's perfect for if you're like, you know what, I need just one more book this week that will make me happy, but I don't want to be tempted into buying an entire series. These are perfect little, like, I just want to learn something new about a couple characters. And there you go.
It really is a good introduction, like, you know, like to these characters. Like, you don't have to be like the biggest Marvel fan, but you can just pick these books up and get like a better understanding of who these people are. I really dug it a lot.
I do think it's cool that they figured out a way to have both Old Man Nick Fury exist, like this, like the version that's been around forever, and still allow space for the MCU Nick Fury, and have them not be, you know, like they're not at odds with each other as storytelling. It's just like, of course they both exist.
Yeah.
We must have them both. I love how everybody, you don't know this, but like everyone in the comments usually has their own like sidebar of awesome talking. So, and they're all friends, which makes me very happy. Making a suggestion, read Jump Scare from Dark Horse. Ooh, Jump Scare, I like. All right, is this part 4? This is X Factor. Can we switch this with the other one? Because the other one comes first in timeline. I know it's hard, Jay. I'm so sorry. This is part 5, and I need part 4.
Give me just a second.
So it'll be the X-Men. I'm just making it all kinds of difficult today. Jay's got it. Jay's got it. Magic. There's a magic. Okay. So we're far into this X-Man Hunt series, which started last week. You got part 1, 2, and 3. I talked to you guys about all of those parts, but essentially what's happened so far, I'm not going to give any spoilers from what's happened so far in storyline, just so that you can catch up to what's going on now. So in the first part of X-Man Hunt, you had Prof X at Grey Malkin. We'd already seen 2 giant factions of X peoples come and try to break him out. At the end of the first book, it just seemed like this was not going to happen. It was all kinds of complexities. They were fighting with each other more than they were actually trying to make this rescue attempt. And eventually it happened. So you do know that Prof X is out. It's kind of like not a spoiler anymore, because otherwise, how could you have more storyline if he was still at Grey Malkin? So those first 3 issues of storyline are so cool. But to catch you up, the 2 big things and characters that have been thrown into the storyline that you need to know about is Juggernaut, which you might have gotten a little more information about Juggernaut from another book that I'm going to read, that I've been reading and going to review this week, the Spider-Man storyline. Because in the Spider-Man storyline, you've been introduced to these characters, which I'm going to look up later on, like what their name is, but they're like these godlike beings that are part of this, like they have this challenge that shows up, and they have these, like, they are immortal godlike beings, right? It is where Juggernaut has his power from. So that's why you can't kill Juggernaut, because he just cannot be killed. So Juggernaut's important to this storyline. He was big key to the very end of the book. That was part 3. And also alongside that is a very important character, Storm. So Storm in her own book got really immense powers, right? Big, like she is embodied the universe. So not just throwing weather at you now, but anything that the universe can provide, she can do. And in the very last panel-ish of the other book, she did something very severe to Scott Summers. Oh, I was not sad at all. But maybe Shanice would be very sad about what happens, but it's okay. Don't worry, because otherwise you can't have him. You have to have him around because he's a perfect foil for everything. So in this book, you've got it just kind of like starts out with that information. So it's the aftermath of what happened to Scott, how they're going to get past that, how they're going to figure out what's been happening to Storm, because to them it's all news, right? They didn't know what was going on to her. They just thought she was just normal Storm because she's been kind of off by herself for a little while. And so this is team members trying to get at Prop X, trying to figure out a way around her. And it's a really perfect X-Men chapter otherwise, because you do get to know a lot more about those characters that have been part of this book. So it's, if you've just been reading X-Men and you don't know anything about the rest of it, it's okay. If you know what I just told you, you have everything you need to jump into this issue. If you're just going to be reading X-Men and you're not going to read the next part of the cool X-Men Hunt storyline. But I think it's really a cool story. And you guys know that I love what I call mythos, where it's a big, long storyline that has big implications because of things you should have known before. You can still enjoy the storyline for what it is, but if you know stuff, it's like Easter egg full, right? And it's crazy because one of the books that I'm going to also review also has an egg in it. So if you've been reading anything Hickman since Power and House, you might know what I'm talking about.
So, hi, I've been good. Happy to be back on the show. Hope you guys have been well. I just wanted to add that because I saw the comment.
Eddie, that's the best secret pun I've ever seen on the show. You only know why that's funny if you read the last book. Eddie says that's the coolest Cyclops I've ever seen.
So,
high five.
I do have a question about Storm's power up.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you would have to read her current series, or do they explain it in the current X-Men book?
No, so in this one, it goes into more detail. They think there's another X character that can actually kind of like look kind of into her and see where her power is coming from. Their explanation for it doesn't make any sense for me because they basically say it's coming from a demon, which is not true unless the universe is a demon, but maybe they know something we don't know, is all I'm going to say. But no, if you read the third part of this, which is Storm, it was in the Storm title, then you have everything you need. For for and against Summer's.
I'd be down for that, yeah.
Oh, we could totally do that. We could just why does Scott Summers suck?
Or why is he the GOAT and is Cyclops and he has done nothing wrong?
We would be the right people for this. We could
Rich Davis on our show coming up after y'all loves Cyclops.
Oh, we could just do it as a everyone come on that wants to do this giant Zoom battle. And here is the X Factor. So at the very end of the last issue we just showed you, the regular X-Men title, it says, so they, at the very last page, it says, okay, the X Factor has shown up and you're gonna have to turn him over to us. So that is exactly where this starts. It kind of gives you the other view. It's like when you're looking through in a movie when you're from this point of view. So it goes straight into X Factor point of view. It's kind of neat because if you remember, X Factor is the group being led by Archangel, who was really damaged in one of his last issues, been assumed dead, but instead you find out something else has been going on with him, which is super dope. He's got cool new whatnots on his suit. I guess it's kind of spoilery that he's still alive, but anyway. But remember, all of his or many of his team members are kind of subpar. They're kind of they got the wrong stuff because some of them their powers are they're only good in specific situations, which is neat because he's using them to their best effect, right? He's a good leader. But also you're just like, dude, how did you end up with these guys? But it's a lesson, I guess, that everyone's power and or person is very important. So I'm not going to give you any more about X-Band Hunt other than those things because I want you to really enjoy this stuff. The X-Band Hunt is not very long, by the way. So we're at part 5 of 7 this week. So you only have 2 more parts to figure out what's going to happen with Prop X. And I will tell you, at the middle of, I think, this book, you find out that there is something from Krakoa that has moved forward that Prop has hidden. I'm not really sure what he's doing with it yet, but you guys could probably figure it out because you're smart chickens. Yeah, that was a hint.
Oh man. Okay. This book. So I remember reading, it was a meme that's on Facebook like ages ago, but it's kind of aimed at millennials and Gen Z. It's like, man, I'm very tired of living in significant historical events before you even turn like 30 or 25. And that's the first thing that came to mind after I read Assorted Crisis Events. So if you haven't read the synopsis of this series, it is going to be a what's it called? Anthology.
Oh, cool.
So each issue will be following a different group of people. But from my understanding, there is going to be like a overarching storyline or plot line. First issue, it's like time is very weird. You can look outside your apartment window, you can see dinosaurs, look back, you see pirates, you see time travelers. It's like that's perfect. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths, but with regular people, which is terrifying. That's dark.
Oh no.
It really is good, and it's a very, very timely comic. It's like, just seems like every day you just see something just like what is going on, but you just keep going forward because that's all you really can do just to stay sane. And reading this comic, is a sci-fi series. It's very satirical, but you can also definitely see like, trying to say this without being spoilery. You kind of see yourself like in this world, or this world in ours. I've been following like the writer for a while now with The Ultimates and some other books, and this book is just so good. I highly recommend it. Tomorrow, pick it up from your local comic store. And if you want something in the vein of Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, mashed up with Crisis on Infinite Earths, this is the book. And it's got some really fun like background scenes as well. It's horrifying, it's fantastic, and it's also moving. Definitely do recommend it. I think this would be right up your alley, honestly. Just the sheer weirdness of it. It's great.
Yeah, I usually read most every Image number 1. The problem I run into is that I like so many of them that it's hard to like make sure I also read them past number 1. But yeah, there are some, you guys can always tell if I'm reviewing something that's like issue 13 or whatever, I'm like, you know, it's my jam. Like this one. All right, there's 2 reasons why I read this one. One, because I'm obsessed with Ghost Machine. And also because this one has a first appearance. You can see her on the front cover there, so it's no surprise who it is. That's Annie Oakley. So Simon Pure, all you really need to know about him, who's also known as the Redcoat, is immortal. It's because he accidentally got the power that was supposed to go to George Washington when an Illuminati type group was trying to imbue him with immortal life. He was not a good guy in this storytelling. But instead it went to Simon, who is not great at anything. And when the chips are down, when something really important has to happen, it always goes wrong for him. He's had really good friends like a very young Einstein. And he's because he is immortal, he's moved through time and lost a great many people that are important to him. So they're jumping back and forth in time for him. So you can kind of see what has made him the way he is. I'd like to see more, honestly, of Simon Pre. More. Like, there's so much that needs to be explained about that guy. But he's kind of adorkable. He also cheats at cards, we find out in this one. But this is how he meets her. They have what you really want them to have. Because Simon has been around for so long, he's an amazing shot, as you can imagine, because he's had infinite time to actually practice it. So I guess it's only hundreds of years or 100 years here where he's had in between this. So he kind of meets her when she's challenging everyone in town to, if you can beat me in a gunfight, not really a gunfight, like shooting targets and stuff. Gun shooting, I guess it's not really, no one's trying to kill each other. Then you can, it's for $100. So he gets drawn into this. So, but then of course there's other stuff that happens that is more important than just having a shooting contest. So, so if you're collecting first appearances, you need this book. If you just want to revel at the dorkiness and he's just a lost cause, but you just can't stop watching this train wreck of Simon Pure, get Redcoat number 10. Okay, and the other part from the Ghost Machine, this was kind of neat. I left mine out so I could show you. I think it's in the Geiger that actually, sometimes they don't have them at the back and sometimes they do. This is something that's on the inside of the book that I'm going to show you, but I'm allowed to because it's in most of their books, so nothing has changed. They've got this cool timeline that they put out so that you know, where does this book in the series fit in the timeline of Ghost Machine, because all of them are actually tied together. And eventually we're going to see some of them start to touch. And so you actually get to see this kind of cool timeline. So you see that Redcoat's there at the beginning, and then it mentions the next character we're going to see is the Northerner. And then some of this other stuff has already happened. Here's Geiger way down at the end of time. Junkyard Joe, who is part of the characters that show up in Geiger, are part of it. So it's really neat. So you can see all of the things that go together and why. Eventually it's going to be so cool when they wrap everything together. But I'm willing to wait for a long time. So there's less than half of these titles have actually started. So I'm waiting for the Monster to come out. The Northerner is going to be the next one that is in this little series here. And you actually get to see kind of a little bit of the Northerner at the very end of Redcoat. So that's why you should absolutely also get that book. So for Geiger, just a kind of like a fast primer for all about this book, Origin. So the main character, Tariq, I think is his name. It's Triq. He, at the issue number 1 of this series, you meet him. He and his family have a big bunker that's prepared. They find out that there's going to be a nuclear attack. He and his family go into the shelter, but he ends up toward the end up outside of the shelter, right? Then you know something has happened, but next thing you know, he's kind of wakes back up, but an unknown amount of time has passed, and all of a sudden he has this weird nuclear power. He turns all green. You can see his insides. It glows like a skeleton, and he can't really control the power. So for the first giant amount of arcs of this book, it's just mostly people trying to control him or trying to find him. There's rumors about him, and eventually ends up with his dogs, which I can't remember the dog's name, but he's got 2 heads and he's got glowy eyes and he's a super boss. Now, in last issue of Geiger, you saw your first look at this, I think they called her the Glowing Woman. And we didn't really sure where she came from, but she actually has the ability to kind of control her nuclear power without the rod. So you see the rod she has. There is somebody that has made that vest for her and the rods, and Tariq has it also, and he has to use it to actually control himself from not like they're I think boron rods, and so they collect some of the. This is way too sciencey for me-ness of it, but I'll just go with it. And for her, she's basically in the last issue said that you can control it. You don't need the rods, and she can. So, and she actually absorbed. Whenever he like loses his crap, it like she just irradiates everything. She just absorbs it. So you get some background history for her, some more like insight into him and what he's going through still, and there's a big gigantic twist at the end. So if you want her first appearance, you got to go to the last issue of Geiger. But in this one, you get to find out a little bit more about her. I don't think she's as altruistic as one scene. Thank you. It was Barney. Yeah, Barney's the coolest dog ever. And you do have spoilers in this one because you get to see some scenes for what has happened to Junkyard Joe. So highly recommend that graphic novel.
So the Herculoids. It's like I was telling Jen prior to this, I was way off base with this book. I
know, before you guys start saying it, I know Kyle reviewed this last week, but we only got our copies this week, so I wanted a second look from somebody else.
And my only, I guess the first time I actually saw the Herculoids, or rather like the blobby aliens, was on Boomerang, if people watched that growing up. And I didn't realize it was like a whole team until I read this book. I just thought it was the boing people, whatever they're called, but they're really cute.
Somebody on here knows who are the boing people.
The little blobby aliens. I thought that was the name that they were saying, but
no, those are people's names.
Gotcha. But yeah, it's a really solid introduction to these characters. I didn't. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And really solid introduction to these characters, to this team. I didn't realize until later it was a spinoff of Space Ghost, but now that I know that,
what?
Yeah,
I was this year many years old before I knew that.
And then, of course, if someone could I don't know back that up, I could be incorrect on that, but yeah, it was a really fun, pulpy comic. Really good, cool introduction to to these characters. I guess I can point the screen, but the giant dude right there,
looks like a rock guy. Oh
yes.
No, yeah, looks like a rock. Yeah,
has probably one of the cooler introductions that I've seen in a while, comic wise. But yeah, how did Kyle feel about it?
Oh, Kyle didn't like it, but I think that Kyle is well versed in all these, like this era of cartoon,
mm-hmm.
And so for him, maybe he has the Rock Ape, awesome, yeah. That he might have a different relationship with some of these, like maybe like watched all of them or has really watched all of them recently, and maybe was expecting something else. So here you go. Here's the review from somebody that came in cold.
So if you just want to get into this, I thought it was all right, but if it's something that you grew up with, maybe you'll definitely have like a different take on it than I did. But mileage may vary. But I thought I was entertained.
You're not entertained.
I was comic book entertained. That's all I can ask nowadays.
I think you guys are awesome that know all the names of it. Who's the dinosaur? That's the one I remember liking vaguely as a kid, but I can't remember his name either. Igu. The Rock Ape is Igu. What crazy cool names, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could just kind of like throw vowels and consonants in a hat and come up with names back then. I feel like that's how Kirby did his stuff. So what we're gonna do? His name is Bleh. Sure, we'll name him that. Okay, so I picked a whole bunch of books this week that have had long story arcs that are important because I want to keep you guys caught up, just in case you're like, I don't want you to be overwhelmed and be like, well, I'm too late to jump into all new Venom because they've already had 4 issues and I can't figure out what's going on. I'm trying to get you. Oh, Tundro. Oh yeah, Tundro. I like the Triceratops. Okay, so in All New Venom, they have given us a really cool who is it, right? So the first issue started out with them in a courtroom. It was, of course, the judge, but then also in the room were the other possible people that could be Venom. One was Luke Cage, who is, I think, the mayor right now. And you also had Madame Mask, because I think she was at trial. Robbie Robertson, and dang, I'm gonna forget the last one. Oh, this is gonna make me crazy. I can't remember the last person. It'll come to me if I stop thinking about it. You know this is true. So, so the way that they made it clear that it had to have been one of them that was in that room is that they have something happen, and then everything happens. You know that the person that is Venom is one of those people. It has to be one of those people. I'm gonna be really pissed off if it ends up being the judge. But anyway, they've been narrowing it down. They seem to have made it so it's definitely not Luke Cage. They definitely have ruled out one of the other ones. So this is the cool part where they're getting down to the every issue, something crazy. You're Venom. I knew it. That they're really trying to figure it out. Bad guys especially are trying to figure out. So this one actually starts with Flash Thompson, who is anti-Venom. He has been kind of tasked to watch over all the symbiotes that they currently have in prison, because they're trying to figure out a way to humanely deplanet them. So they want to take them off of Earth, but they don't want to just shoot them off into space randomly, because they did that with Hulk and that didn't work out so well. So they're trying to find somewhere that they can actually go and have a real life. Meanwhile, a lot of them don't have any people. So they're very much used to a symbiotic relationship. So they're not in a good mental health place. Really sad. So it's a little bit about them talking about that. But then you've got this crazy storyline in which you can see him on the front cover. I'm not even going to tell you how that character appears into the storyline, but he and another, who I can't mention because otherwise it'll narrow down the playing field of who it could be for Venom, show up and create a lot of chaos in this issue. So it's really kind of a cool how they get introduced. But it seems like in this issue, they out who the person is, just sheer, okay, it can't be that person now, and it can't be, I guess, this person. So it has to be this other person. I still feel like they're giving us misdirection. I used to think that the colorway that he has, I thought he was like Luke Cage's colors, so I thought, oh, it's totally Luke Cage. But since they seem to have knocked them out of the running, I'm still super interested at who it is. And then it introduces, I'm gonna call him a new character. One of the symbiotes attaches to someone really cool and makes a really cool new thing. Oh, I can't wait for you guys to see this. The costume design is really cool. And so if you like new first characters, but both bits of them are the symbiote and the person are really important, then they're not new characters you've never seen. So others have taken the black you were born into it. Oh my word. Oh, okay. So I will just tell you now, I cried at the first probably 3 or 4 or 5 pages of this book, because it starts out back on Krypton as all of the people there are trying to escape the destruction of their planet. So I think they've given you bits and pieces about it. So what you need to know if you haven't jumped into Absolute Superman is the difference about Absolute Superman that makes it totally different from the way it's ever been told before, is that all the families alive on the planet, and there are different factions. There's there's a big sciencey faction that knows all the important stuff. There's people that are in charge of different things, and poor, his family is not. They're not big players, but they're very smart. So think of them as lower caste people, I guess. It's the only way they introduce them in issue 1. So this one, they've kind of like the storyline that's been happening for Absolute Superman is that he is currently on a tear to go and find this one peacemaker who, for reasons that only this guy knows, seems to have taken it upon himself when someone I imagine if a police officer just shot everybody that cussed at them. This guy did that. Someone mouths off and then he just kills 23 people as a peacemaker. So Superman is on a tear to go find this peacemaker and be on a tear with him. He's really pissed off. So interspersed with that, you start out in this story with them trying to escape from Krypton, and the way the storyline is told, it's just heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Gives you insight into the family. It re-ups. I don't know if we have ever known the origin of his power before, but you'll understand fully why his suit and he are the way they are. So it's it might be introduction of power, even though we've seen him use the power before. You understand where the power came from and why he hears voices all the time. It would be self-explanatory to you, and you would be like, oh, that makes much more sense. So yeah, this is incredible, and always sincere about it. If you guys are not reading all 3 Absolute titles, you're robbing yourself of some of the best storytelling and art that there is in comic books right now. And I will say also, if you are not thinking about adding Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter, Absolute Green Lantern, I have already, Shanice has read Absolute Flash. I've read Absolute Manhunter. Mm-hmm. I know that Absolute Green Lantern just popped out as a preview issue that we're also going to read. And everybody that I know that has read all those issues is losing their mind. I'm already saying for Martian Manhunter, just give it all the awards now. Just sign them up for all of the Harvey and for Eisner, because it's totally going to take them. Yep, the Meyer Flash, always a winner.
So who's read all 3? She's absolutely right. These are, oh my gosh, especially Martian Manhunter.
So you get to read the Lantern already?
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. Yeah. So read what they're saying about it, what the difference is and how the powers are. It's not the typical here's Will and whatever, and they each have rings and they get it from a central power battery. No, none of that is going on. It's really different and really cool. The character design is awesome.
So mine is A Long Lonesome Grave. So initially when I first heard about this, it made me think of this movie called Blue Ruin. If you like revenge movies, highly recommend that one. What I got was something a little bit different, but in a good way. It's a very interesting crime story that also has magic. That's something that I wasn't expecting. And the way that the magic is used in this book, it's very different, much darker, and it's also very, very scary. The main character, have you read this issue?
Oh, no, because I got beat to it by Kyle.
Oh, man.
Or Jay, I can't remember.
So whoever read it, maybe they can back me up on this, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and I really do want to know, what happens in future issues. The main character, your heart breaks for him because he is trying to do the right thing. Maybe not the best way of going about it, but it seems whenever he tries to do what he does in the first issue, it just blows up in his face, and now he's got to go back to his old ways, and he doesn't really want to do that. But yeah, if you different crime stories, that's not your traditional noir And this is also it's like a huge plus in my book where it takes place like in the South, which is always a big plus for me. Like any comic book that has itself like as like a setting, it's like chef's kiss, like because there's so much just the vibe of it, I guess. But yeah, I'm really liking it so far. I got to read issue 2 today, and it was a book that I was really interested in during was it FOC, and highly recommend it. It's fantastic.
So you're saying horror?
I would say not horror.
Okay.
I would just say like I know it takes place in the South, but like kind of like urban fantasy.
Oh, okay.
But crime, and I think I don't know if Kyle will agree with me on that. I think he'll say like maybe rural fantasy, which fair. But yeah, Justin Jordan, he is a fantastic. They are a fantastic writer. Definitely agree on that.
Cool. Oh my gosh. That is so awesome. Okay, so I sent this picture in because we don't have any more A covers. So I love that Jay went ahead and picked the one that I read. Of course. Amazing Spider-Man's got this on her. Okay, I'm going to open up mine because I can never remember the name of these crazy, weird creature things that are related to the power the Juggernaut has and all of that kind of dope stuff. Because they have, I think it's attacks.
I think my favorite thing is how like his skull also has the spider web.
Oh, of course it does. Of course it's underneath it.
That's too funny.
Okay, Cytorak. So Cytorak is the big bad. So we'll just call him Dad. So of these family of beings that have been showing up and basically torturing everybody else they were supposed to show up, and usually it's Sorcerer Supreme is their job to go through all of this horrible torment because the challenge is designed to have a series of things that happen that result in usually many deaths that they've been put through. And in this case, what ends up happening in the 8 deaths of Spider-Man is that close your ears if you don't want to know. Pete's dead. So he dies. He did everything he could, but he eventually at the end just said, I can't do anymore. I just keep on dying and coming back and seeing all the people that I love that keep throwing the people that he loves, not killing them, but like basically one of the challenges was basically showing him kind of penance stare style, everyone he knows and how they're going to die. Imagine going through that. And then not only people that he knows, but like, I think it's everybody. Like he usually finds out how everything dies. So he finally just says, that's fine. So he ends up getting killed. So what's interesting about what happened from that is that the daughter, who should be real tough and not care, ends up finding that she does. So the brother, who is totally not caring, takes this opportunity to say, Dad's kind of looks like he's kind of sleeping or in some kind of like stasis. He sees it as an opportunity to try to take power. So that is what's happening in this book. But the outcome of everything is so dope that I can't even possibly explain it to you without being like losing my ever-loving mind. So this is the issue to read. It's the end of the 8 deaths. You have to know what happens in this book to enjoy anything going forward. It is important. And also, for lovers of the Juggernaut, you got to have this issue. You absolutely must. So anyway, yes. If you haven't been collecting these Scotty covers, he's only been doing ASM, and every single issue is different ways the spider can die. And they're all basically sold out. Like I think they sell out pretty much immediately. And so if you wanted to make a set of them, you're gonna have to find some at your LCS who you love. You love them. So you should show up and get what you can, because I think this will be really cool on a wall all together. right, now we can talk about wrestling. pop up the wrestling questions, Jay. I know he's like going, what? What kind of show is this turn into? Only the best kind.
Comics and wrestling. Fun combo.
I think we'll get many more views because we're talking about wrestling today. Here you go.
Is I Shall Speed. Dude.
Is I Shall Speed still alive after the Royal Rumble? We're going to read it because sometimes people are watching from other platforms. So
I'm not sure how he is. Like, watching him take that spear was just like, like kudos to him. But that, oh my gosh! So
they just end the show without showing that he got up, or no?
Oh no, he just got like laid out. It's a very violent flying hug. That's the only way I can describe it.
I was envisioning an actual spear.
That might have been better than what he got. But yeah, I think they had to just like push him out or wheel him out. It was, or just scrape him off the mat. It was so bad.
Scrape him off. Hey, make two. We're talking about wrestling now because we finished with the review of the books, and Shanice knows a bunch about wrestling. So throw up your wrestling questions. What's the next question?
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way I can describe it. Juggernaut running into Jeff the Shark.
Oh my lord. Okay. Do you know who Billy Kidman is?
I do. The name sounds very familiar, but I saw someone say that they mentioned Raven's Flock. So with ECW, I have like this thing with it. Shooting Star Press was 7 years. That question.
No, there were just the comment that also was made about it was the one. So
sorry. Yeah, but ECW, like, I definitely respect it as a promotion, but I never watched too much of it. So whenever someone will reference anybody from ECW, it's like I know the name, but if you ask me like name a match, I don't think I can do that. Fortunately, wish I could. Yeah, I probably should.
Any other questions? Not really a quiz. You can just like, did you watch whatever?
Did y'all watch Raw last night, or did you watch AEW Revolution on Sunday?
We literally have customers that come in the day after any event so they can stand around and talk about wrestling with Shanice.
Cena's finally a heel. I think that's something that you were asking me about too.
See, I thought I saw a picture about that where they were talking about like the word heel was with Cena, and I was like, I don't understand how that could be. How did that happen?
So it's like Hydra Cut.
They made an evil Cena, but I can see him.
That's the evil part. You can actually see him.
That's what we've all been wanting him to say after turning heel, coming out and saying, "Can you see me now?"
Ooh, he's saving that for something, I bet.
There's like a mic drop afterwards, like he got it.
I think that's brilliant. I like it when people take a turn.
So he's
Peacemaker in wrestling now. He'd have to be a lot dumber, I think.
I mean, it's not wrong.
Right, what is your prediction for what's happening next big in wrestling? I know everyone's always talking about what the next storyline is going to be.
I think I have no idea because, like, after Cena turning, it was just like, well, wait, what else can happen now?
Is there someone really bad that could come back and be good? That's of the same caliber?
Well, see, the thing was, like, Cena, like, he's been a face for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So him turning, it's huge. Like, I can't really think of anyone else now who, if that were to happen, but in reverse.
What do you guys think? Could there be somebody that's big enough, been traditionally a heel? Maybe they're going to give them their limelight. It's so funny. All the words that I know about wrestling, I've either learned from Kyle or from Shanice. All right, while you guys are thinking about maybe some more wrestling things, I just want to make sure you guys remember, as always, to communicate with your local comic shop. This week is spring break for a lot of people, and that might mean for your local comic shop that they're slower as people are out of town, and maybe like people that are visiting don't know about your LCS. So maybe post about them, share and post so that other people that are visiting in town might have that in their feed. And your recommendation means a lot. If you want to do a solid for your local comic shop, go and find their listing if they have it on, what's the one for the foreign nation one? The really cool one, like the traveling one. I had it in my head until I really wanted to say it. It's got the hoot owl as its symbol. I have it on my phone.
Duolingo? No.
It's like it's just like Google for if you're traveling. Where's my owl? You should tell them that they should sign up for it if they're not on it already. But there it is, TripAdvisor. So make sure they're set up for TripAdvisor. So go to TripAdvisor and actually make a recommendation, because what I learned when I was traveling overseas is that everybody in all the other countries use TripAdvisor for when they're looking for a new place to go and visit. And they include comic book shops, restaurants, and all those kinds of things. So I signed us up for TripAdvisor, and then I immediately saw lots of people visiting from other countries. So that's really important. So just know, maybe people are traveling from other countries. You can do that for them, and they would think that was really cool. You can at least mention it to them so they can actually get themselves a little cool thing. Hogan turning heel at Bash at the beach was classic. Is it true? Was that a good turning heel?
He was the third man.
Ew.
NWO.
Now their theme is going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the show.
Oh no!
I'm not complaining because their theme was actually really cool, but it's going to be stuck there.
It was cool, but I think Wolfpack had the better one.
It's fair.
So next week, if Shanice still wants to continue to do this, I think that she'll be more comfortable about knowing how many books she can read, because we've got some extra time, so we can fit in all that she wants. Thank you guys for allowing us to switch things up. She's very much wanted to start reading more, so it's like one of those things, like if you don't force yourself sometimes to sit down and do it, and get beyond you just end up with a giant reading pile. So you could tackle your reading pile this week if you're off, which is fun. And we'll see you guys next week right here at the same time. I think when do we get that flash, the first flash? Soon, right? Not next week, week before next, after that?
I believe so, 2-3 weeks.
Yep. So next week probably will be fourth print Mark Spears Monsters, which you already read, I would hope, but it's your opportunity to read it if you haven't yet. I highly recommend it. I know everyone's going crazy because the art is what everyone's lost their minds about, but please read the story, because what I learned is don't F with Dracula, because you should not. If you see the way that Dracula is drawn in this and the way he's just vicious, you'll understand what I mean. So if you're a fan of like the Universal Monsters look of the creatures, that's what he's embraced, and it's just so good. So yeah, support his continued, like, he's been working forever, but that finally he's been discovered makes me so happy.
And don't forget, coming up directly after this show, we got Welcome to Wonderland with Rich Davis and AJ talking about new comics that they have that are coming out tomorrow. You can buy them there. I want to say Rich does 25% off if you buy it from him. Just saying. But after that, at always get the times mixed up, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, then we got Kicking It with Henri. But also, folks, 2 tabs you can have open. Miss Jen, you're going to be on the CBSN next, right?
Yeah, but I'm not as cool as Richard, so you should go and watch Richard's show.
Boo. Yeah, and also, I think the site is still up, last time I heard. But if you're traveling, comicshoplocator.com, enter the zip code of the area you're going to be traveling to, find out what shops are in that area, but always, always call and make sure, because sometimes the Google doesn't always get the hours right. So
true. Awesome. All right, babe. Thank you so much for joining us on the experience. We truly appreciate it. The more you guys can share with your friends and do word of mouth, make us really happy because they trust what your opinion is because they're your friends. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Have fun.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.